Hello again, YouTube. I am Jake the Creeper, and today we will be reviewing yet again another of my Lego creations. Lego Transformers, that is. But, so if you haven't seen my first video, which was the Destroyer, that figure was pretty big and pretty pathetic almost. You know, he kind of, I mean, here he is, you know. Kind of big and long. Here's his legs, here's his arms, there's his head. This little cannon would be sitting on his head, sort of like that, you know. Just, he wasn't a very sound figure. He had a decent robot mode, pretty flimsy in some of the joints, but just not that good of a vehicle mode. So and if you notice, he's kind of big, you know, kind of long. He's almost got a base mode. Well, that's what I called it, actually. So I'll stick his gun on and we'll get him out of here, because there is the first minute already. And we'll get down to reviewing the guy we're supposed to be reviewing, which is him. Now I won't be telling you his name until the end of the review. Sorry about the shaky camera, I have to hold it. I don't have a camera stand. So here is his Cybertronian hovercraft car mode. That's a pretty pathetic name for something that looks absolutely nothing like a car, but it is Cybertronian, and as if you've ever seen Transformers, which if you're watching this you probably have, Cybertronians don't really ride inside other Cybertronians, except for the exception of Astrotrain, which is a Decepticon, and he was pretty big. So this guy is real little, and he's got a little blue peg down there to sorta. I just gotta squeeze this together so it's not falling apart. So it sorta looks like, you know, he's hovering, and in his robot mode, it sorta looks like a thruster almost on his back. Has a little gun here and like a wandy thing there. I'll show you. I'll tell you what it is later on. Once we get him in robot mode. So, instead of me sitting here talking, let's get him into robot mode. So first off, you take these things, which are his headlights, and you pull them down. You gotta be very careful, because they're on the edge. So he's a very flimsy figure, and if we have time, I'll tell you why at the end. So, alright, and then you see these little hook-looking things here. There's two of them, just to help him stand, better stability. You take him and you turn him like that, and then, you know, he has some pretty good feet. He stands up pretty good, assuming you get everything lined up. And stay. This arm is very flimsy. So I sort of like to lean him back just a little bit, because he's got a big chest and really lanky arms, and it sort of just kind of makes him want to fall forward. So if you angle his legs back a little bit, it sort of offsets that lengthiness of his arms and how heavy they get. So then you want to take this gun and this little wand looking thing off, and we'll start with the wand first. I just like to pop the whole thing off, makes it easier, you know. And his hand is right there, and obviously this is his arm. So, and then gotta take his gun out, and we'll just set those there for now. Not too far out of frame. Alright, so he's getting a little bit tall for the small ass camera that I'm using. Small camera, sorry for the vulgarity there. Close enough. So obviously, if you do that. And you sort of want to get this part up past the leg, which sometimes you got to sort of pull it out a little bit and then back in, because this is sort of like an eye rail, and it sort of gets caught in this vent, there we go, or grate. You know how it's bumpy, sort of. So, and then we'll do that to the other arm. We'll pull it out, and then very, very carefully pull it past, and sort of just leave his arms like that. That's about it. This right here is his head. Pretty simple. Let's see. So it has a vent, and then inside the two little circles are supposed to be his eyes, but I didn't really have much to work with there, so I just I winged it. Plus, you know, it's Legos. You're not supposed to, they're not supposed to really be exactly what you want them to be. You're supposed to have imagination. And then, back to transformation, you straighten out his hands, and that's it. There is a reason why that's there. If we have time, I'll tell you at the very end. And then you take this thing. You can either leave this on, or you can take it off, because it can either sit like this, or you can leave it in his hand like this and sort of have like a little shield on the front. I sort of like the little shield on the front and it being in his actual hand instead of it being on his arm. So yeah, he's sort of his little whooping stick. So, and then you just take his gun and put it in his hand. This arm is sort of stiff enough that he can hold it, or you can just straighten out the entire arm and full on, straight on shot sort of pose like that. You know, now I can shoot you. So yeah, there's him, and when you do that, it sort of makes him easily front heavy. So in which case, then you sort of gotta re-angle the legs again, and then fix his arm, and now he's like in one of those dead poses. And there we go, back to that. Now he's sort of in one of those like almost Matrix kind of stances, like where he's leaning back and he's also about to shoot the bad guys and beat him with his whooping stick and stuff. I don't know, I just random. But this guy is a failed Cybertronian Decepticon clone. The Decepticons had some kind of robot that the Autobots really wanted on the good side, and he refused, but in a battle, part of him broke off, so they took part of him and attempted to clone him. And this is what happened. You know, he's got this arm that's not correct with this arm. He's real weird looking. You know, he just didn't turn out the way they wanted him to, because, you know, this isn't very threatening. He's sort of on the, whoops, crap, popped his arm off. Oh well. He's sort of on the little wide side there, right in the waist. You know, he's got these really weird, almost sort of like chicken legs. Let's get his arm back on. Where'd it go? There it is. Couldn't see it behind the camera. So yeah, his name, I couldn't really come up with a really awesome name, so I just named him Mixed Up, because of, you know, his really poor car mode, just the awkward portions of his robot mode, and the little mini story I came up with. It just, you know, kind of seemed a proper name for him to be called Mixed Up, you know. So, and his little whooping stick is literally just a whooping stick with a blue thing on the end to make it look better. There was no real story behind that. So, yeah. And, whoops, he can beat himself in the back of the head with it. Yeah. And his leg came off. I feel smart. So yeah, he has good range of posability, mostly only in his legs. They can, you know, move forward and back on this joint here. They have this joint, and unintentionally they sort of have a little bit of a bend right there. And my camera's being stupid again. I don't know why it does this. If I stare at like a normal light, it unstupefies itself, but until I do that, it just kind of stays yellow. So, of course, his elbows have movement, his head has an up and down movement, no side to side, and this. So, Thank you for watching. I am Jake the Creeper, and this was Mixed Up.